Hey, welcome to episode 8 of the TarPack podcast. We are going to start with the NC State versus Marshall review. What a game that was. NC State, in the first start of the 2023-2024 season for MJ Morris, got his first start, and he was pretty good. He made some mistakes, which is typical for a young quarterback, but he was a goodness his first start. What did you think of that performance?
Yeah, 4 touchdowns. Very good start from him. Obviously way better than Brennan Armstrong. Now, obviously, still like Brennan Armstrong. He's still just a person and everything, but MJ Morris is just definitely the best player on our team. For quarterback, he's our best option. 4 touchdowns. Now, obviously, he had 3 interceptions in that game, too. Obviously, not great. 17 for 32 completion. But, I mean, I don't think Brennan Armstrong's got more than 200 yards barely more than 220 yards this whole year. MJ Morris had 270 or something. I mean, just a way better quarterback performance than we have for the other weeks of the games.
Yes, and State comes out with a 48-41 win. So that's interesting. A score. I mean, Marshall's a good team, but we'll see. And a lot of those points were given up by the offense. Basically, not really much of the defense's fault necessarily, but still not a great defensive performance against Marshall. So, what are your top 3 players of the game for NC State versus Marshall?
Number 1, I'm going to have to give it to Kevin Concepcion. He had 102 yards for 8 receptions and 2 touchdowns. Very good game from him. And, yeah, he's my number 1.
Yeah, he was really good in that game.
Peyton Wilson is second on my top 3 of the game with 14 total tackles and 1 sack. And for number 3, I'm going to give it to Trent Penix. 3 receptions for 99 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so it was a okay performance from the pack. Defense was not great, but, it was a better performance under MJ Morris than it has been. So let's get into the review portion for NC State versus Duke.
And yes, for NC State versus Duke, we're going to start with the QBs. MJ Morris versus most likely Riley Leonard, but it's still unconfirmed if he's going to start or not after his injury against Notre Dame. So obviously, if Riley Leonard is starting, I'm going to give it to him. He's been a very talented QB this whole year and everything. Even though MJ Morris is a very good QB, I'm going to have to give it to Riley Leonard. And now for running back, these Duke's running backs have been very good this year.
Jordan Waters is very good.
Yeah. For the wide receivers, I'm going to give this to Duke as well. Obviously, they have very good wide receivers. And for tight end, I'm going to give this to NC State. Obviously, we have not seen really that much from our tight ends this whole year, but after seeing Trent Penix finally have a average game, I mean, it's possibly because of our quarterback actually being good enough to throw. So maybe that's why he had a good game this week, because I know he's good, and I'm going to give the tight end win to NC State. And the offensive line, man, Duke's offensive line is absolutely insane.
Yeah,
I mean, they got a great offensive line.
Yeah, State's offensive line has kind of struggled a little bit as well this year.
Yeah. But Dylan McMahon is a great help. And now for defensive line, I'm going to give this to NC State. The pressure from everybody just on the whole field.
You got 20-some sacks this year.
Yeah. Very good on this side of the field. Anyways, in the first place from just all the pressures and the sacks. And NC State's going to win this one. And for the linebackers, I'm going to give this one to NC State. Obviously, Peyton Wilson. Honestly, the best defender on our team. Definitely our best defender on our team. Just such a talented dude and everything. And now for the secondary, I'm going to give it to NC State with Aiden White and Shaquem Battles. They're going to win it. And yeah, NC State's going to win the secondary round. And now to the coaching. I'm going to give this to Duke. Mike Echo and all of them. It's his second year coaching at Duke. And yeah,
Yeah, definitely a better coach. Definitely a better coach than Dave Doran.
Yeah, just way better than Dave Doran. How he brought them to a bowl game in his first year, just for his second year, to them being ranked high and everything. Just very good job by Mike Echo and this Duke coaching staff. And now for the predictions. I got NC State winning 30-27.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 27-20 in this game. I think in favor of Duke. I think if Riley Leonard doesn't play, I think NC State gets the dub. But I don't think it looks like it's really. I really have no idea, honestly, if he's gonna play or not. So we'll see. But I'm gonna go with Duke definitely if Riley Leonard plays, and if not, probably NC State in this matchup with NJ Moore actually being able to provide some offensive prowess, even though he may make some mistakes.
And that is the NC State versus Duke preview. And it's now time to go on to the UNC review and to the UNC preview.
On to the review for UNC versus Syracuse from this past Saturday. UNC absolutely dominated in this game. UNC was phenomenal. They looked like one of the best teams in the country in this game, and they made Syracuse look like a bottom-feeding team, which I don't personally believe that they are. In this game, Garrett Schrader had 10 carries for only 28 yards on the ground, which is like kind of his main thing. And given that he wasn't able to do what he does and run the ball, it really makes it hard for Syracuse to be good, play well enough to win this game. But Drake May, absolutely fantastic, 495, I believe, total yards with 4 touchdowns. He was phenomenal in this game as Carolina won 40-7. Drake was phenomenal, and a whole bunch of other guys were contributing, and we looked like a really well-rounded team in this game. So player one of the game, obviously, I just said Drake May was phenomenal, absolutely brilliant in this game. 495 total yards and 4 touchdowns with 0 interceptions, so he was great. Player two of the game is a little bit tougher. I'm actually going to go with Elijah Huzzy. He only allowed 1 catch for like 7 yards, and all of that given he also had an interception. He was just locked down defensively, had a pick. You could go with so many guys, honestly, to also make this list, but I had to pick somebody, and someone in that defense deserved to make it. You could really put Gene Chizik up here for leading that whole defensive unit. So that was a good performance from Elijah Huzzy. But the third player of the game, I'm going to go with Nate McCullum. He was the leading receiver for the Tar Heels in this game. He had 7 catches for 135 yards. With some honorable mentions going to Kobe Paysauer and Bryson Nesbitt, as well as Devontae Walker. Shout out to Devontae Walker. He had 6 catches for 43 yards in this game in his first game back, in which he didn't even start, but he made an acrobatic, absolutely really good catch against the sideline in this game as well. So he had a good game. So let's get into the preview of UNC versus Miami, which is going to be an ABC primetime game, a ranked matchup, as Miami was still included in the top 25 at number 25 and Carolina number 12 in the nation. First, I want to speak to what an absolute colossal collapse that we witnessed between Miami and Georgia Tech. I mean, that was putrid. If Miami wins that game, and when I say win that game, all they do is take a single knee, take the knee one time, and Miami would probably be like 15th in the country right now. That's like a 10-point ranking swing. And, the rankings aren't all important, obviously, but they'd be undefeated right now and feeling a lot better than they probably would otherwise be. But this could mean for the Tar Heels that they may be, a lot of people are saying that they're going to be angry and come in with an attitude. I don't know. This could, they could come in like mad and in the doubting themselves type of way, and they're questioning the coaching staff, which you obviously should after what that was horrendous. So, but getting into the preview anyways, Tyler Van Dyke versus Drake May at quarterback. Obviously, Drake May has the advantage here. Tyler Van Dyke has made a lot of plays this year, turned the ball over a little bit more than you would think, and I know what you're thinking, so was Drake May or whatever, but he's only had 4 interceptions, 3 total turnover-worthy plays for Drake May. So he has more interceptions than turnover-worthy plays, which is ridiculous. So the interceptions are an overrated stat as it is, but that just shows you Drake's having a phenomenal season. On to the running back room. I'm going with Carolina, the edge here. Now, Miami and Carolina have about the same production from their running backs, but Carolina, I do believe, has the talent advantage. Henry Parrish has been good, but Omarion Hampton, British Brooks as a duo, along with Caleb Hood as a third guy, and Elijah Green, that group is just, in my opinion, better. So I think the O-lineman of Miami is making the running backs look a little bit better than they are. So I'm going to go with Carolina advantage in the running back room. Wide receiver, I'm going Carolina here. There's just weapons all over the place. Miami hasn't had that many guys step up, I don't want to say, as far as wide receivers are going. They've had some good performances, like against Texas A&M, who's an okay team. Xavier Restrepo is a good player, and they have some other guys like Jacoby George. But I think Carolina has the overall advantage as far as top to bottom players go, with your TEZ Walkers being back, Nate McCollum, J.J. Jones, and so on. Tight end, this is obviously in favor of Carolina. The best group of 3 tight ends in the country with Kamari Morales, John Copenhaver, and Bryson Nesbitt. O-line, this is where I'm going to give the first advantage to Miami. They've been a more consistent team on the offensive line, and they are really talented on that side of the ball as far as the O-linemen go. Carolina, I don't think they've been terrible on the offensive line. They've just been fine, I guess is probably the way I'd put it. But I don't think this is a huge gap or anything like that, because Carolina has had some fairly consistent O-line play as of late. D-line, I'm also going to go with Miami, because I think the one true question I still have with Carolina is that defensive line getting pressure. Since the South Carolina game, they've only had 3 sacks. They had 9 sacks against South Carolina. I've only had 3 in the past 4 games. So that's got to step up. That's got to get better. Or maybe it's 5 in that last 4. But either way, it's not enough pressure. So I'm going with Miami to get the D-line advantage in this category. Although Carolina's D-line isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, it's just a question mark. Linebacker, I'm going with Power Echols and Cedric Gray. In my opinion, maybe the best duo in the country. They've been playing great football, and I love this matchup against the linebackers of Miami. And in the secondary, this might come as a hot take to some who see like NFL draft videos with the Miami safeties on their list and stuff like that. But straight up, Carolina's had the better secondary this year, man. They really have. With injuries coming to the safety, Cam Kitchens of Miami, I'm pretty sure he's gonna play in this game, I believe. But still, Carolina's had the better secondary. They've been playing better football. They have not allowed near as many yards, and they've made plays. They have more interceptions than Miami. They have more TFLs against Miami, and all against better competition for the most part. So I'm going with the secondary advantage actually to Carolina, although this is definitely like closer to a push than anything, but I wanted to give Carolina the edge there. And in coaching, after what we just saw against Georgia Tech, it's not even remotely close. Carolina has that coaching advantage in this game. So predictions, we're going to get it started here. I'm going to go with 38 for Carolina, 24 for Miami. I can honestly see this being a very close game, and I can honestly also see it being a blowout in Carolina's favor. I really can, just based on what we've seen. I don't know what and necessarily how to think of this game, but in the past, Carolina has owned Miami the past 5 years, and I'm not a big believer in the past history of matchups mattering, but I do think Carolina gets the win here, 38-24. I think they do have a better team, and I think they're coming in with a better mindset than Miami is after what they experienced last week.
And I got Carolina winning 47-21. As he said, it could be close. It could be a blowout. Obviously, by what you see, I'm definitely predicting the blowout. This Carolina offense is just too good. And, yeah, I got Carolina winning 47-21.
Yeah, so that is going to wrap up episode 8 of the TarPack podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. A lot of great college football coming up this weekend. And I much appreciate you guys stopping by. Go Heels.
Go Pack.